for the fourth game today here inside the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center here in Hamilton, Ontario, for the second volleyball game of the evening between the Mohawk Mountaineers and the Fanshawe Falcons. I am your play-by-play commentator, Matt Jandrew, along with my co-host Harrison. Harrison, we've seen a Mohawk win, we've seen Mohawk losses today. What do you think we're going to get from our final installment on this day of sports here in Hamilton?
That'll be very interesting, as both teams with similar records. However, Fanshawe have a favorable one, being 4-1 compared to the Mountaineers 3-2. The Mountaineers did beat St. Clair 3-1, but then lost to Redeemer in their last game 3-0. For Fanshawe, they beat Niagara and Sheridan 3-0, beat St. Clair 3-2 twice, with their only loss coming against Conestoga 3-0. Last season they were 14-4, and they swept the Mountaineers 3-0 in both of their matchups.
Yeah, we're getting a look at those standings that you were talking about. Fanshawe in third in the West, Mohawk trailing behind in fifth place, and Mohawk is coming off of a 3-0 loss to Redeemer, and in that loss they struggled from the service line, so they're going to need big performances from some of their big players like Brecken Morrison, who we saw a couple weeks ago against Sheridan have a big day at the service line, and Andrew Majiris as well. We know he can be an impact player from that spot, so they're still technically undefeated at home, although it's only been, you know, the one game they've played so far at home in the regular season that we commentated against Sheridan. And we will be back shortly with your national anthem and starting lineup, so stay with us, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
tonight's OCAA contest visiting Fanshawe Falcons and your Mohawk Mountaineers. Mohawk College is a proud member of the Ontario Colleges Athletic Association, and as a member adheres to the fair play policy as outlined by the OCAA. Mohawk College staff and the game officials have the right to remove any spectator exhibiting unsportsmanlike, rude, and/or objectionable behavior as well as foul language during the match. Please cheer in a professional and sporting manner.
Okay. They're changing their plans. What's that? They're changing their plans. Okay? Just the intro. Okay. Just the intro.
Here are the starters for your Mohawk Mountaineers. Alabama number 5, Benjamin Poskas. Outside hitter number 8, Josh Taylor. Libero number 9, Jordan Holt. Left side number 10, Dean Zikari. Middle number 11, Jesse Smith. Center number 16, Cole Crowder. Outside hitter number 17, Alex Jura. And last but not least, middle number 19, Andrew Magrias. Let's hear it for your Mohawk Mountaineers.
Just about set to get things going here. As we got the intro hype video there for your men's team. With a good crowd still here at the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center. And what has been a day filled with sporting events. And the usual suspects in the starting lineup here for the Mountaineers, although correction to what I said earlier, pre-game, there will be no Brecken Morrison as there's an availability issue there. So replacing him in the starting lineup will be Cole Crowder at the setter position. The Mohawk will have the first serve, and Crowder will be the one to get things going here as set number 1 is kicked off between your Mohawk Mountaineers and the Fanshawe Falcons. Sent over right away by Fanshawe. Jurak just tips that one over. Then Josh Taylor with a quick putback. So Josh Taylor breaking the ice here. Harrison getting the first point and Mohawk getting off to a good start.
Very good start indeed, as Taylor just gets pretty much a cookie for him, and he'll be happy to just smack that one back.
Crowder with a second serve. Curtis sends that one over off of the head of Jesse Smith, I believe. And Ho keeps that one alive. Over to Zakari, he's just got to send that over. That one into the area of Dean Zakari, set up for Jurak now, and he finds the back of the zone for the second point of the game for the Mohawk Mountaineers. So early on, Mohawk seems to be on the same page, moving the ball well amongst themselves, and Cole Crowder, who is making one of his few starts so far this season, is going to get a third chance at the service line. That one over to Curtis, off of Jurak's fingers. Crowder keeps it alive. Now Taylor's just got to tip it over, but it will not stay in bounds. So Fanshawe will pick up their first point, make it 2-1 on the scoreboard here early on in the first set.
Yeah, a pretty fast start for both teams in this first set. No real feeling out period, as the Falcons will get their first serve.
That's Tanner Patterson at the starting line for Fanshawe. Ho is going to get a dig there. And then Jesse Smith just unable to catch the inside of the line there. As you'll see the setup from Crowder. Can't quite get that one in play. So Patterson will get another opportunity. This one is all tied up at deuces now. Tanner Patterson out of Waterloo. And he will not be able to get that one in play. So an error on the serve there will send Josh Taylor to the service line with his Mountaineers squad up 3-2 now. As this one starts off with a lot of back and forth action on the scoreboard. Josh Taylor. Patterson gets that one over to Curtis. Kept alive there by Crowder, and then Jesse Smith put it over. Smith blocked that one as well. That one got through Smith and could not be reeled in by Crowder. As the Fanshawe Falcons tie this one up at 3 apiece. And a substitution coming in is Jaden Crowther for Fanshawe, not to be mistaken for Cole Crowder on the Mohawk side. So Crowther in for Fanshawe. Ho gets that one over to Crowder. Jesse Smith is blocked by Crowther. And now Dean Zakari puts that one over. There's Curtis over to Crowther. Josh Taylor over to Ho. And a violation called there. I've got a double touch, I believe, Harrison.
Either a double touch or maybe too much flick on that one from Jordan Ho.
Possibly there, possibly a bit of a lift. So now Fanshawe will get their first lead of the second set with Evan Kirkpatrick at the service line for his first time. Kirkpatrick sends it over. There's Josh Taylor getting that one. A little too far for Cole Crowder. And immediately, Crowther puts that one down emphatically. So Crowther and Hutchinson at the front line, with Kirkpatrick still at the service line. Now this one goes over to Dean Zakari, who has a good touch on that one. Miracle dig there. Absolutely insane save on the Fanshawe side, and Jurak, excuse me, sends that one over. And that one is going to hit out of bounds, but an absolutely incredible effort there from Colin Hutchinson, the captain of this Fanshawe team, to even give them an opportunity to put that ball back over the net, as he put a fingernail underneath that for the dig. And now Jesse Smith for his first opportunity at the service line. Smith, Hutchinson. A nice dig there from Josh Taylor. Now it's going over to Dean Zakari. Sends it over to Curtis. Crowder to Taylor. Back to Zakari, stuffed there. Taylor to Zakari again. That time he finds a good spot for that attack, and he will register his first kill of the set. Absolutely great chemistry there between Josh Taylor and Dean Zakari as Jesse Smith returns to the service line. This one is now tied up at 5 apiece here in the first set.
Majerus has also come in to give the Mountaineers some more size at the front of the net.
He is formidable at the front line there as you see him send one back. There's Crowder to Taylor to Jurak. He's just going to send a soft one over. Kept alive by Majerus, then back to Jurak. Zakari's just got to toss this one over. Pitlick. And that time it goes off Jurak, but soars out of bounds. That attack comes from Jacob Goldsmith. So now we have the captain, Colin Hutchinson, serving for Fanshawe. They're up 6-5 in what's been a back and forth first set. Hutchinson And his serve will not make it over, so Mohawk will get this one back tied up on a serving error from Hutchinson, the captain. And now we'll have the captain of the Mountaineers side, David Jurak. Or Alex Jurak, excuse me. Here's Alex Jurak. Curtis over to Crowther with an absolute rocket of a kill there. Not much they could do about that, as Poe could not reel that one in.
Just couldn't elevate, as he was able to get a lot of it, but not able to get under it enough.
Goldsmith with the serve. Zakari sent it over to Crowder, who plays it over for Jurak, who misses. Correction, stays in. Absolutely insane placement on that kill from Alex Jurak. Get another look at that one. Just barely caught. You can see it hit that orange inside the line there. And now Dean Zakari, one of the top scorers on this team, misses the zone there, so that'll be a wash on the last couple points as Fanshawe retakes the win, or the lead, excuse me, with Jaden Crowther coming to the service line for his first time of the night. Crowther. Good dig there by Poe. It went to Crowder, and then Majiris sent that one out of bounds to give Fanshawe a 2-point lead now. Crowder returning to the service line.
Good start from the Mountaineers, kind of getting overwhelmed now by the Falcons.
Crowder sends that one up. Zakari's got to get it over. There's Hutchinson to Curtis. Now Jurak to Majiris. Back to Jurak's got to get it over. Stuffed, but not fully. Kept alive, and now Hutchinson. Going back to Hutchinson here. Over to Curtis. And that one misses the zone. That was Goldsmith trying to get them up to a 3-point lead. It will not happen. And now Majiris. Andrew Majiris at the service line for the first time. He was very effective in the game against Sheridan there. And that one is a devastating strike there from number 8. That's Tanner Patterson.
He got up there, Matt. Holy.
He did. He absolutely has some hops. He's got some springs in his shoes, that Tanner Patterson. And he's making Mohawk pay. Now we've got Jacob Curtis at the service line. That one goes to Taylor. Over to Crowder, back to Taylor, but rejected. I believe Hutchinson got the fingers on that one. Evan Kirkpatrick also in the area. So Carter Pittick is back in the game. Kirkpatrick still in the front there, along with Hutchinson. The serve from Crowder. It's over to Curtis. And another big hit from Tanner Patterson, who's absolutely putting his stamp on this one, extending the lead to 3 points. Excuse me, to 2 points. As it's now 11-9. He's at the service line now. Patterson's second opportunity serving tonight. Can't find the inside of the zone.
Seems like right now the Falcons, even with that missed serve, do have a bit of the momentum. However, with the score just being a 1-point difference, it's right in the hands of the Mountaineers.
And there's Josh Taylor. Curtis has it now over to Hutchinson. Hutchinson, the captain, with a strike that Josh Taylor could not handle. As Mohawk will fall down 2 points again. 12-10 is the score in the first set. Like you said, Harrison, the momentum definitely swinging in favor of Fanshawe, with Mohawk benefiting from an early start here. So now Kirkpatrick sends it over. Taylor over to Crowder. Dean Zakari will get a shot at this one, and he finds the inside of the zone. Similar spot to his other kill, hitting the inside of the line in the orange paint there. Easy to see there. As now Jesse Smith back at the service line. Jesse Smith. Curtis sends it, and Tanner Patterson with a miraculous save there. Absolute highlight play there from Tanner Patterson No one on the Mountaineers side was expecting that. As you can see, they all got caught ball watching. You can see that was heading into the crowd. Tanner Patterson puts it in between Jurak, Majiras, Taylor, all three very experienced players. No one thinking that ball was coming back into play. Now the captain, Colin Hutchinson, at the service line. That one, though, not going to find its way into the zone.
And neither team able to get 2 straight points on the board. It's been back and forth. It seems like both teams are missing their serve. We'll have to see which team will go on a run first.
Yeah, nobody really establishing themselves too well. As another serving error there for Alex Jurak. As those serving errors are starting to pile up, with Jacob Goldsmith now returning to the service line. Fanshawe, here's Goldsmith's offering. Taylor gets that to Crowder. Jurak got it over. It was rejected, but rejected out of bounds. So another point for Mohawk to bring it to a 1-point deficit here. With Dean Zakari heading to the service line. Dean Zakari sends it over. Goldsmith over to Curtis. Curtis gets to Kirkpatrick. There's Zakari to Taylor with a soft touch, finds a soft spot. Absolutely gorgeously placed by Josh Taylor.
And again, it's the Falcons getting 2 straight points, and then the Mountaineers come back with 2 straight points of their own. So these two teams are deadlocked, at least in this first set.
Yeah, nothing really separating them by much of a margin as Dean Zakari gets that one over. Curtis tries to get it stuffed, and he will. He went up to jump with Jurak and came out on top there. Now Evan Kirkpatrick at the service line again. He racked up a couple points on a Fanshawe swing. There, we'll see what he does here. Crowder's gonna send that one to Jurak. Came over into our area. Thank you to Hutchinson for saving the equipment there. Hutchinson has it again. There to Curtis, over to Patterson. Patterson having an absolute day for himself. Getting lots of pass on the back as he's racking up the kills with these ferocious missiles. I would not want to be on the other end of a Tanner Patterson strike, let me tell you that.
Yeah, those are fast and furious, to say the least.
It's Evan Kirkpatrick. That one's sent over by Taylor. Now Goldsmith's going to send it over to Patterson again. Why not? There's Jurak. Ho. Josh Taylor kept alive with a dig from Kirkpatrick. Patterson again. They're feeding him, and it will pay off as that one goes off of a couple of Mohawk defenders trying to get the block. So Tanner Patterson becoming the player of the game here. Now the lead up to 3 points. And a timeout will be called for Mohawk, as head coach Brad McClure will want to get his team on the same page now. Not a huge deficit building, Harrison, but with how tight it's been, 3 points kind of does feel like a big deficit.
Yeah, with how the game has gone so far, it seems like the momentum has been in the favor of the Falcons for a long time. The Mountaineers have yet to take back the lead in any of these back and forth sets.
Yeah, not a lot of movement in terms of substitutions on either side. Doubt we'll see any coming out of this timeout, but yeah, it's been really neck and neck. And we'll see if either team brings a different look to their lineup. I can't imagine if you're Fanshawe you change much up, but Tanner Patterson has really been kind of the one thing that's separating Fanshawe right now, and why they're threatening to maybe pull away if they can keep this run going and the momentum isn't killed by a Mohawk timeout. We'll see if Coach Brad McClure made a timely decision to cut off, nip this momentum swing in the butt before it gets out of hand, as Kirkpatrick will still be at the service line.
Yeah, the Mountaineers are definitely going to have to focus some attention onto Patterson, as he has been dominant so far in this first set.
There's Kirkpatrick, as we said, still at the service line. Ho to Crowder, and Majiras as they reverse the flow there nicely, catching the right side of that Fanshawe defense off guard there. And Andrew Majerus with a
Maybe
good kill.
that's who you get going to counter Patterson.
Absolutely, would be the guy. There's Curtis to Goldsmith who gets a kill. Absolutely good side. So both teams playing very fluid volleyball right now. Now number 10, Gustavo Aguirre has come into the game for his first bit of action. Here's Curtis. Taylor over to Crowder, can't get it there. Taylor has it again to Crowder. Over to Jurak, gets some of the net, then gets some of Curtis. Now Patterson with a softer touch this time, but he does not miss. Tanner Patterson playing absolutely out of his mind this game, as he has them up 4 points again and 6 points away from taking this first set. Jacob Curtis, a Hamilton native, playing against Mohawk here. That one's over to Crowder, over to Taylor. And that one will go off of, I believe, Hutchinson and go for a Mohawk point. So Mohawk breaking the streak there. Much needed points to keep this one within 3. Josh Taylor, another guy that could get going, hasn't necessarily had the kind of production we've seen from him in the past. There's Goldsmith to Curtis. And that time, Patterson is denied. However, it's denied out of bounds, so it will still go as a point. So even when he loses, he wins.
Even when he loses, he wins. And I think if you're the Mountaineers, to counter him, you're going to have to get Taylor and Majerus going. They have been good so far in this one.
As we said, that Breck and Morrison, their usual starting set, are out, so maybe some offensive rhythm just being disrupted. Having some new players in the mix who aren't usually playing with this starting group as they drop another point there. So it's back to a 5-point lead. And now Tanner Patterson, who's actually leading the OCAA in serving aces so far this season. So not only is he killer as an outside hitter, but he's an absolutely stellar at the service line. But it won't matter because Jurak pinpoints a beautiful spot in the back of the court there for that hit, and he will register a kill. And now Josh Taylor will be at the service line, down 4 points, needing to get this one a little bit closer as Fanshawe inches their way to a win in the first set. That one off of Pittick. There's Patterson. Goldsmith's got to tip that one over. There's Ho over back to Jurak. That one probably could have been left by Patterson.
Might have been deflected on the way there.
Possibly. That one off Dean Zakari, off Hutchinson, and Mohawk inching a little bit closer, now down only 3 points, 21-18, and still with lots of fight left in this one. Maybe Fanshawe settling a little bit into their game a little bit too calm, as they took their foot off the pedal ever so slightly, and now Mohawk's inching their way closer. Taylor way outside. That one kind of forecasted right as it left his hand, too much power. And now, some substitutions here. Kirkpatrick coming out. Jason McPhee coming in. Jurak. Beautiful dig there.
It's Zakari.
From Patterson, but then Zakari makes it all for nothing as he comes back immediately.
Once again, the lead back down now to 3, sorry. The Mountaineers still well within a chance to come back, but the Falcons only needing 3.
Hutchinson gets that one sent back. But sent back out of bounds, so they're now just going to be sitting 2 points away from winning this first set. Now we're going to have number 9, Oliver Prentice, replacing the captain, Colin Hutchinson. And now Oliver Prentice will be behind the service line.
And a timeout call by the Mountaineers.
Well, it's a bit of a do-or-die moment. They got their back up against the wall with only 2 points to give. You have to think you need to play pretty perfect volleyball if you want to get a chance to come back here, needing 6 points to only 2 needed by the Fanshawe Falcons. Even if you can get close and press a little bit of overtime play here, I think you'd be happy with that. But certainly slowing down Tanner Patterson and kind of, cleaning up some of those serving mistakes kind of cost them in the game against Redeemer. Both teams, though, have had struggles, missed the zone a lot. Not a lot faults into the net, but a lot of overshooting on the serve. So we'll see if either side can kind of clean that up. It might be a difference maker here.
We'll have to see if all things continue the way they've gone, the Falcons will close out this first set. However, the Mountaineers have been known to pull off some dramatics, and we'll see if they can do it here.
They certainly aren't going to go away quietly, Harrison, that's for sure, even if it is just the first set. So now Prentice serving for Fanshawe. Zakari over to Crowder, over to Zakari. He'll pick up a point bouncing off of Curtis and out of bounds there. So a good point, definitely needed to make this a 3-point differential. And now Jurak, the captain at the line, the man who's cool, calm, and collected, the kind of guy you want at the service line for this situation. You can't really afford to give up any more points. That goes to Goldsmith, over to Curtis, back to Goldsmith. Rejected there by Cole Crowder. No. Wag that finger, Cole Crowder. That was another Mutombo-esque denial there.
And that was as you said, can't really allow more points. You don't want to give the Falcons, put them on match point, and just like that, it's a 2-point game.
And you are at least threatening to push this to overtime as Curtis sends it over to Goldsmith, rejected again, back to Curtis, over to Pitlick, over to Goldsmith, has to tip it over, Majerus. Now Curtis has to send that over. And Curtis will put them on the brink of victory here. As now number 7, Andrew Smith, checking into the game. Pittick coming in. Pittuck.
Another point, though, for the Mountaineers to keep this first set still alive, trying to force overtime.
That's the last thing you want if you were Fanshawe, to have that. So Fanshawe's going to take a timeout because now they're kind of seeing what looked like a victory in the making slip away from them here. As this one, I have a hard time believing will end 25 points as the win. Keon Elke checked into the game in that last series.
As we just said, the Mountaineers, if they're going to want to win this first set, they're going to have to get at least 2 points in a row just to force overtime. And I think that timeout called, as you said, Matt, for the Falcons is just to calm it down, as they only need really to get 1 point out of the next 2.
Yeah, and if you're Mohawk, you just got to avoid an unforced error. I think that's all you really can try to do, all that you can control. You know, if Fanshawe comes back with a huge kill that is kind of impossible to return, you're gonna have to live with that. But if you can get out of this without making an unforced error and losing a set on something of that nature, is Keon Elke now checking out, Josh Taylor checking back in. So that Majerus, Taylor, Crowder up front. Dean Zakari at the service line, with Jurak and Ho in the back. And there is the unforced error that they did not need, as Dean Zakari will unfortunately cost them the set with that one, although he did have a spectacular set otherwise. So 1-0 for Fanshawe. They jump out to an early lead in sets here, but close contested, much closer than I think anything we saw in the women's game, as this one really came down to just a couple of points. And Fanshawe now looking to extend their lead up 2-0.
We'll have to see if the Mountaineers were similar to the women's match in Fanshawe's favor, if they were able to get any momentum from pushing that game as far as they could. Sadly not being able to get it into overtime.
Yeah, Tanner Patterson on the Fanshawe side making his mark, as we talked about all through that set. And we also had Alex Jurak having a strong set, Andrew Majuris having a strong set for Mohawk rather, but neither team fully, established themselves as a overwhelming, opponent for the other, but obviously Fanshawe taking, edging them out in the end. Although Mohawk, to their credit, came back and forced a close end of that set. And what happened in the ladies' game, reversed teams, but Fanshawe losing in the first set made it a game towards the end and then really didn't look back. So perhaps Mohawk now realizes, how they need to settle into this one, and they'll be able to carry that into, the next couple of sets and get back into the win column today.
We'll have to wait and see, as we still have a minute left of break here for both of these teams to talk things over. So we'll be right back with the action in about a minute.
So things kicking off here now in the second set. If you're just joining us, Fanshawe defeated Mohawk in the opening set 25-22. Jurak to Crowder to Taylor for the first offering. That one kept alive. There's Hutchinson. Jurak over to Crowder. Taylor can have another shot. It's in a bit of a no man's land though. Dean Zakari over to Crowder. Reverse to Jurak.
Whoa.
Wow. Talk about a howitzer off the hand of Alex Jurak.
Howler right there from Jurak. That was a missile.
Can't really fault Pit Tuck too much for not being able to get the dig there, as Jurak is looking to shave years off lives with that one. And there's Pit Tuck getting it to Curtis. Over to Patterson, picking up right where he left off. Getting the first point of the set, or sorry, the second point of the set for Fanshawe.
I gotta say, if you're Pit Tuck, when you have that fan with the poster about you in the crowd, I think you'll be okay if you miss a serve or two or a dig or two.
I didn't even see that, but he's got to feel the love as Zakari gets it to Crowder, over to Taylor with a little bit of a spinning one there. That one sent back. I think it was Majiris got on that. Taylor is going to get it over to Ho. He's going to get it back to Taylor, who's got to get it over the net. Puts it up high and in the middle. Now Curtis. That time Hutchinson will miss by a mile. And send Josh Taylor to the line. They're now up 2-1. As the teams are splitting points once again early on in the set, just as they did in the first. Josh Taylor with his first serves of this set. Just Pit Tuck over to Curtis. That time Kirkpatrick got it over. Crowder's gonna send it over to Zakari, kept alive, back to Taylor. Over to Jurak with a softer touch this time. Curtis finds it. Pittuck gets it over to Goldsmith. Crowder set up there for Zakari. Curtis is there, Pittuck is there. Now Hutchinson with us. Hard-hitting set over to Zakari. He gets it off of Hutchinson after a beautiful-looking rally. Mohawk will get the point on the end of it. Keaton Mizak. Excuse me, not Keaton Mizak. That would be Benjamin Puskas came into the game there for the Mountaineers. Pittuck sent back by Zakari. Now Pittuck has it again. He's going to send it over to Goldsmith. And Jacob Goldsmith will register a kill there. We'll have a look at that. Yeah, not able to be reeled in. And now Kirkpatrick with his Movember mustache sending it over to Josh Taylor. Over to Crowder, over to Zakari. Bing, bang, boom, just like that. Tic-tac-toe, and there's a Mohawk Mountaineers point on the end of that rally. And now Andrew Majiras at the service line for his first time of the set. We know how effective he can be from here. Curtis has it now. Tries to set up Hutchinson, it's rejected, but out of bounds. And this one will be a one-point game with Fanshawe now only trailing 4-3. And what again has been a tight early part of the set, just as we saw in the first. No one able to really establish themselves. Points being traded back and forth. Captain Hutchinson now at the line. Colin Hutchinson sends it over. That's a hard serve. Ho attempted to get underneath that one, but he gives it a little bit too much as it took a funny bounce off of his forearm and sailed well out of bounds to get this one tied up again. Now Colin Hutchinson will return to the service line.
Similar to the first set, the Mountaineers were leading early, but they just can't quite seem to hold on.
Zakari to Crowder, back to Zakari, almost blocked. Not enough though, as that one will go as a point for Dean Zakari. Off of, I believe it was Curtis, who couldn't quite get enough of that one to send it back into Mohawk's end. Now Jurak serving for Mohawk. Nice serve. Pittuck is there to Curtis. Over to Goldsmith. Off of a Mountaineer and out.
Both teams making more subs. That one was a good block, but a very weird spin off both of the hands of the Mountaineer defenders.
Taylor gets that one a little too high. Now it's going to get over to Zakari, though, and they can't handle that. Dean Zakari with an emphatic statement there. He has been on top of his game today, and they're going to need him to get evened up in sets here, and he'll take his place at the service line now. Up 6-5. That one goes to Goldsmith, goes to Curtis, goes to Patterson. Don't you forget about me, he says, as he is back on the score sheet recording another kill, and there'll need to be some mopping up done here on the Mountaineer side, as we'll have to delay Kirkpatrick's serve. Now tied up again, 6-6.
Great dig attempt there from the Mountaineers, but just not enough to keep it in the air. Once again, it will be Falcons with serve, looking to take back the lead.
Kirkpatrick gives it to Ho, and that one is sent back immediately there. Sorry, it was Crowder at the service line and Kirkpatrick who rejected that, and Crowder couldn't quite get the right angle to respond to that immediate stuff by Kirkpatrick. So Taylor is going to send that one to Ho. Gets it close to the net, but Taylor tried to get a hand on it. And that one goes foul off of a couple of attempted defenders on the Fanshawe side, so Mohawk will retake the lead. Oh, beautiful dig by Jurak. A fingernail save. Taylor with the soft touch. But a violation called against Mohawk. So that will spoil what was an absolutely hero play from Alex Jurak there. Getting a pinky finger under that to record the dig.
Really unfortunate for him because, as you said, that was a unbelievable dig from Jurak.
Majiras tried to get that one over. And the will be returned by Fanshawe, but not into play, so that will go as a Mohawk point. And this one will stay tied 8-8 as the back and forth action continues to be as tight as we saw in the first. Here's Crowder. And that time Kirkpatrick leaves no doubt.
Now the momentum has swung for the Falcons as they're the ones ahead.
With the absolute danger machine, Patterson at the line.
A rare miss.
Yes, I'll compliment him more behind the service line, I guess. And now Josh Taylor, been effective today. Hutchinson tried to get that over, rejected by Majiras. Again tried to get it over. This time it goes off a Mountaineer player and out of bounds though, so he will record a point. Kirkpatrick checking back in. And now he is at the service line for Fanshawe. Majiras tried to softly touch that over, able to be handled. That time he gets his block, second block in about a minute's time span. So Andrew Majiras has played absolutely electric today on that front line, and he's an impact player for this Mountaineer squad.
Surprised he hasn't been on the court more, Matt.
Yeah, it wasn't in the starting lineup as there's a kill that will wash away the goodwill from Majiras' block, but nevertheless, it's just a 1-point deficit. Yeah, hasn't played the entire game, but when he's been in there, I thought he's looked really good. So we'll see how his minutes are, managed going forward. Hutchinson is returned by Ho to Zakari off of a Fanshawe defender and out. Point Mohawk.
Just back and forth. No team finding any sort of consistent points. No team being able to get back-to-back points and continue to add on as Jurak will be on the serve.
Goldsmith got to that, got it to Curtis, back to Goldsmith. And they're not calling any sort of deflection off of Crowder, and that will be a point from Mohawk as they do pile back-to-back points on to take a 1-point lead.
Looking back to lead for the first time in a decent amount of time, and Jurak, after that beautiful serve, will get another shot.
There's Jurak there. Goldsmith had a dig there over to Curtis. Just put over by Hutchinson. Jurak. He's set up for Taylor. What's the call? Call is out. So it will be Fanshawe's point. Immediately Hutchinson and some of the other players, Patterson in the area, were letting the ref know they saw it out, and Goldsmith's at the line now. Taylor couldn't really get a good dig off of that, and Crowder tried to recover it, but it was to no avail. As Keon Elke's going to come in for Taylor, at least for a moment.
Both teams getting the 2 points in a row, so clearly still a deadlock in these two squads.
Dean Zakari, Crowder able to keep that alive. Zakari tries to put it over. Goldsmith, Kirkpatrick. And Gustavo Aguirre tried to keep that in, couldn't do it though, as it did not find its way into a playable area for the Mountaineers. So now Zakari tied 13-13 in what has been a very back and forth neck and neck set. Here comes Dean Zakari. Misses the zone.
It's unfortunate to be missing that, as another chance to add on for the Mountaineers total, as this game continues to just be back and forth with neither team able to find consistent points.
Here comes Jaden Crowther at the service line. And despite Ho's best attempts, it will not be able to be returned. So now Fanshawe looking to start pulling away at a crucial time in the midpoint of this set. Crowther with another opportunity. Ho with the dig over to Crowder. Elke. And they're going to say that hit the ground, as Elke will register a point there.
I thought the Mountaineer mistakes that led to those two Fanshawe points would come back to bite them, but not yet, at least, as once again they get the point right back.
Goldsmith. That attempt from Hutchison blocked by Majiris. Elke was there too. Kept up there by Jurak. Elke's gonna serve that up for Jurak. And that one will be a kill for Alex Jurak. Captain, proving to be a leader in the stat sheet too. She's been racking up points for this Mohawk squad.
And at the halfway point, both teams at 15. We are tied once again with both needing just 10.
And that time, Kirkpatrick with a Tanner Patterson-esque kill there, as he left no doubt. Here's Curtis. Majiris is on that. Crowder to Jurak, to points on the board.
I mean, it's just back and forth over and over. Neither team able to pull away, and if we reach, the 20-point mark, eventually something's got to give here, Matt.
If not, we could be here a lot longer than we expected, Harrison. This one might go into extra points with the way it's been so back and forth, as you said. There's Goldsmith getting it over Curtis. Kirkpatrick tried to get it over. That time they do. Majiris with a tap over. Kirkpatrick dug out by Crowder into Elke, and Elke is rejected, but rejected out of bounds.
Finally, the Mountaineers able to take back the lead. I mean, we've had a couple lead changes. We've had moments where there's been no lead changes. It's been tie after tie. Now we'll have to see if the Mountaineers with Cole Crowder at the service line can start to pull away.
Crowder's serve, handled by Goldsmith to Curtis. Curtis gonna look to set someone up. It's Patterson. The rejection not into play. Majiris was in the right spot. Couldn't get quite enough of it to get it back into a fair area. Now Tanner Patterson at the service line for the Falcons. Tanner Patterson. Ho! Sent that wild back. Keon Elke gave it his all trying to get there, but it was of no avail, as Fanshawe is back in the lead once again, 18-17. You're just joining us, they're up 1-0. This one's been back and forth. No one really able to get more than a single point or maybe a 2-point lead. Tanner Patterson, the king of the serve for the Fanshawe Falcons. Ho is able to handle that to Crowder, to Majiris. And Andrew Majiris doing it all today.
Yes, he is, and called for him to get a lot more looks, and just like that, he does. As Patterson, for that ace, I was about to say he's had a pretty quiet second set, but shows up in a big way with that.
Let's not wake the bear. It's Goldsmith there, number 20. And Dean Zakari, number 10 for the Mohawk Mountaineers, shutting that down in its tracks with an absolute housing right there. So we're gonna look at that stuff. Gets up there, good timing, good placement. Right where nobody was, right where you needed to put it. Now Keon Elke. Serve, big jumping serve. Now Curtis way over to Goldsmith. Thought he had the soft touch. Unfortunately, it was not into a fair playable area, forcing Fanshawe to take a timeout as Mohawk is now up 2 points, 20-18, as they look to win their first set of the game.
Yep, some consistency being shown, and now the Mountaineers only needing 5 to win the second set and even the series out. And what a difference that would make if winning the second set to make it 1-1 rather than losing it and going down 0-2, now needing 3 straight sets to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just means if you go down 2-0, you know, you're playing hero ball. You're just trying everything. A little bit of desperation might, you know, set in. 1-1 though, I mean, that's essentially a brand new game, and you've got the momentum rolling. So just like Fanshawe's women's team, the Mohawks men's team didn't win the first set, but they've carried the momentum from almost coming back into this one. We'll see if they can do what the Fanshawe's ladies did, winning 3 straight. They have to get 5 points first to get the first one registered. But they're certainly on track at the moment if they can edge out Fanshawe in what has been a neck-and-neck nail-biter of a second set here with Keon Elke, excuse me, at the service line still, using his big vertical to get a great serve there. Pit tuck. Goldsmith has to put it over. Jurak, that one sent back to Zakari. Crowder's gonna set up Majerez. Pit tuck is there to get it to Crowder. Hutchinson on the reverse side where nobody was looking, puts that into a sweet spot, right into a bucket to get the lead down to 1 point for the Mountaineers. And Kirkpatrick's gonna come out, at least momentarily, for Jason McPhee on the Fanshawe side. Haven't seen him yet today. Jason McPhee will be at the line as well. Hutchinson at the front there, along with Goldsmith and Crowther. There's Jurak over to Dean Zakari, blocked by Crowther, blocked again by Crowther. That time he gets the point. Crowther standing tall, using his reach, using the power of the staff to send that one back.
Now the game is tied as Falcons off the timeout. It must have been a great taunt because they come out and get 2 straight points, as now both teams needing just 5.
There's McPhee's second serve. Crowder to Dean Zakari. That time the rejection not going to find its way into fair ground. So Mohawk back up 2-1, and the story of the set continues. Just when you think one team might be starting to build some momentum, their point streak is snapped at max 2 in a row.
Majerez will have the serve now, Matt.
Good time to have him behind the line. And I'm just going to stop complimenting anybody when they're serving.
Castor curse lives on as Majerez with a rare miss, and all the games he hasn't missed many. Unlucky for him, and now both just needing 4 points.
And now we have Hutchinson at the line for the Falcons. Ho is there to Crowder, excuse me. And a very similar looking play to the last point, as Crowther wanted a rejection, but he couldn't get it into play.
Zakari again with a rocket off his fist.
Hard to get the angle right when it's coming at you that fast, and now we've got Alex Jurak at the service line. Another good man to have there. That one off of Patterson, back to Patterson. Dug out there by Puskas, and not able to be recovered by Dean Zakari. But Puskas kept that alive with a beautiful dig.
Really unlucky for those points, for those heroic digs, not to end up in points for the Mountaineers, and Zakari just mishit that one.
Yeah, obviously never going to have an ideal set coming off of a sort of desperation dig like that, where you're getting just a pinky toe or a pinky finger, and Mohawk calling a timeout. So Mohawk coming to talk calling a timeout, wanting to talk about these last 3 points on the board either team need. As again, you don't want this really to go in extra points. You want to wrap this up now, and you got to kind of play some perfect volleyball with this next couple minutes.
Yeah, both teams needing that, and clearly the head coaching staff of the Mountaineers, they obviously have great ball knowledge, and they're well aware that going down 0-2 to the Fanshawe Falcons is not something they want to do. They want to do everything in their power to ensure they can even up the series by winning this second set. But once again, both teams just needing 3 points, and the Mountaineers will be looking to be the ones to collect those 3 points.
So we will have Jacob Goldschmidt at the line. Looking to get Fanshawe off on the right foot. Elke's going to get it over to Crowder, who's going to set up Jurak. Absolutely great timing there from Jurak as Crowder was in the area. But it will fall on the Fanshawe side of the net, so Mohawk needs to get back-to-back points here, something that's been very hard to come by in this set for either team. Dean Zakari, though, the man at the service line. He would be the man to do it. That one's going to be given over to Curtis. Crowder with what is going to go down as a huge play if Fanshawe picks up a couple of points now. As we're essentially already into advantage type of play here with a team just looking for a 2-point lead no matter what to win the set. There's Crowder's serve. Ho's going to get there. Makes it a little difficult for Crowder, but he's there. Over to Elke. Elke shut down, kept alive there. Curtis puts it in no man's land. Elke sends it back. Crowder. Patterson there. It's sent over to Crowder. To Elke. There's Crowder. To Goldsmith. To Patterson. Off of a Mountaineer player, and advantage Fanshawe essentially, as they will need 1 point to win, 1 point from Mohawk, putting it into the 2-point area. Obviously, this set win is going to be huge for Mohawk as they're going to take another timeout to talk it over.
Yeah, I mean, this basically feels like could be it if the Mountaineers aren't able to get this point back, going down 0-2, and you only need 1 to force overtime. Once you get to overtime again, it's win by 2, so it's a whole new ball game. It basically resets, and from what we've seen, getting 2 points in a row is extremely difficult for both of these teams on a consistent basis, as they are well matched against each other. And I mean, even if the Mountaineers were to go down 0-2, I mean, you look at these two scores, very close. Nothing really separating the two.
Absolutely. I mean, if Fanshawe does pick up a point here, that's a 2-point win. They only won by 3 points in the last one. It's literally splitting hairs to say one team is better than the other, just based on how well they've countered each other's sort of strengths and exploited each other's weaknesses. Very similarly built teams, a lot of length, a lot of good ball movement, and I would say they kind of live and die by the service line, both of these teams. If Crowder cannot get a good serve off here, I think that would be immensely frustrating, but it's something we've seen from just about everybody who's been up to the service line today. Ho is there. Elke is going to have to be put over by Dean Zakari. There's Goldsmith to Curtis.
That's
and
it.
that one catches the inside of the zone, and that will wrap up set 2 as Fanshawe now sits with a 2-0 win, and frustration setting in on the side of our Mohawk Mountaineers as they called a couple of timeouts to try to game plan that, but unfortunately could not come up with a win. Now they'll be looking to not get swept here as they have 1 set left to give before this game is wrapped up. And you know they do not want to end their home winning streak, although it's just 1 game, that's still a winning streak, as we get a look at some of the best plays from game set number 2. All right, we are back, ready to get things kicked off. The Mountaineers looking to stave off a sweep on by the hands of the Fanshawe Falcons. If you're just tuning in now, Mohawk dropped set number 1, 25-22, and the last set, 25-23. So certainly a very closely contested match through and through. There's Pit Tuck over to Curtis, over to Hutchinson. Found its way into a sweet spot in the back of the zone there. And now Tanner Patterson, who had a pretty electric first set, a little bit quieter in the second, still made his impact though for sure. Here comes Patterson's first serve. Goes over to Crowder, to Jurak. Alex Jurak feels like no matter what the score is, he's going to get his every single set. He's very much Mr. Consistency, Mr. Reliable. And he knows how to pick his spots extremely well now at the service line himself. Tuck over to Curtis. Patterson just to send that over in Jurak's area. Gives it over to Crowder, who's going to set up Zakari. Curtis over to Hutchinson. Jurak trying to keep that alive. He will not, however, as it sails well out of bounds. Now Kirkpatrick. So I believe what happened there was the coach of the Fanshawe Falcons, that's Patrick Johnson, is saying that they're out of rotation on Mohawk's side and the referee blew the whistle. There's going to be some confusion. So, and they're going to award Fanshawe a point for that.
So far, it's been all Falcons to start the third set as they clearly have momentum, sensing blood in the water.
Majerus tried to send that one over. Crowther, however, had other ideas. Goldsmith was in the area too. And Kirkpatrick. The mustache man of mystery behind the service line here. Let's see what he can cook up. Jurak. Majerus does get a good hit off that time. Curtis tried to get it into an area for Patterson, but neither of them can get a good bit of contact there. So Andrew Majerus will go to the service line for Mohawk. Down 4-2 now.
Majerus, who missed his last serve, will look to redeem himself here.
That's a hard hit serve, catch just a bit of the net. Hutchinson puts it into the chest of Jurak. So Fanshawe pulling away early. Did not see a three-point swing very often in the last set. We'll see if Mohawk can bring it back into a closer contest. Not that it's really gotten out of hand. It's only 3 points, but based on the way things went, it just feels huge. And that one from the captain, Hutchinson, catches a sweet spot in the back of the zone. And now a 4-point lead. So a response needed from Mohawk now to let this one, not let this one, I should say, slip through their fingers before they even get a chance to get involved in the scoring here. Hutchinson again. Dug by Jurak. Sent over. Zakari will get it. There's Puskas to Crowder. Goldsmith got a hand on it, but he sent it well out of bounds. So point Mohawk. 6-3 is now your score here in the third set. Mountaineers down 2-0. Looking to stay alive. Like the Bee Gees, staying alive is the goal here. Now we'll have Crowder at the service line. Excuse me, that's not Crowder, that's Thomas Kuzma for his first bit of action. So some different faces in the lineup.
Kuzma, player we've seen plenty of, just not in this game as he's getting his first minutes in this third set.
I played a big part in the win over Sheridan a couple weeks ago. Again, I'm not going to compliment anybody going forward standing at the service line, but Kuzma is an effective player.
Sadly, was not able to get it over that time.
Jacob Goldsmith going to serve it up. Puskas. It's going to have to be sent over by Zakari. There's Crowther over to Patterson, kept alive. Not quite though, as Puskas took a diving attempt to keep that into play, but it wasn't able to be returned fair. And a timeout called. As things are not looking great for Mohawk early on here.
Just seems like they might be out of gas in this third set. Obviously still early on in this one, but with how close all these sets have been, any lead bigger than 2 has seemed to be a dagger for whatever team is losing.
Yeah, it just feels like even if Mohawk crawls back into it, I know it's still very early, anything could happen, but if Mohawk does shrink the gap, they need to do it sooner rather than later. As like you said, when it is so close, even if, let's say, Mohawk gets this one back close when the score is maybe 15-13, it just feels like whoever has the edge at that point is going to take the wins, and it really will come down to that final swing in points. But it's been so close, it's hard to call, hard to predict. Obviously, Mohawk playing for a lot of pride amongst, obviously, just the typical want to win and wanting to win at home, with Goldsmith back at the service line for Fanshawe. Obviously, Fanshawe saw their ladies team win. The men want to do the same as the women here. That one missed the zone.
Too hard hit there. The open palm not aimed perfectly into the playable area.
Zakari puts that one over. Wow, what a... It looked to be a dig there from Colin Hutchinson, but apparently the ref saw otherwise. And a point will be awarded to Mohawk, keeping it down into a 4-point deficit with Dean Zakari at the service line. Puskis trying to do a fingernail dig of his own. Can't quite get there though. And a 5-point lead will be reestablished with Crowther heading to the line. It's Jaden Crowther. Jurak to Crowder, back to Jurak, finds a soft spot.
Hit the antenna.
The entire, and I mean the entire Fanshawe bench there, calling for that, and they will get their appeal as they bounce around like Energizer bunnies, just waiting for their chance. And it's kind of all for nothing though, as Crowther sends that one into the net.
Gotta give credit to them for being so vocal, supporting their team, as the Mountaineers will make some more subs. Majerus coming back in desperate need of a big run of points.
Jurak now is going to send it over. Hutchinson to Curtis, over to Patterson. Man, is he ever dangerous. Tanner Patterson taking no prisoners today. And the last thing they want to do is see a repeat of Tanner Patterson's first set highlights. And they are now down 6 points, much bigger than any lead we saw in the third set, or excuse me, the second set. That one sent well out. Thomas Kuzma trying to, oh, deflection called. You see that there on the big screen.
Timeout called by the Mountaineers again. It just seems like, man, after that, two really demoralizing set losses in a row, especially in the last one, they might be just out of gas.
Kind of seems like it a little bit, Harrison. I mean, it's hard to get into the minds and the mindset of the team, but it definitely feels like that fight to stay in it was much more alive and well, and that probably winning that second set was even more important than maybe we even gave it credit for when we discussed its importance. I'm surprised. I think we'll maybe see Jesse Smith possibly getting back into this one. Taylor getting back into this one. Obviously, Majerus is checked in, but yeah, something's got to give if they want to get back into it. It's right now, they're on a fast train to getting swept, unfortunately. But the Mountaineers are always in it, no matter the score.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Still a lot of time left in this set. They're just going to have to do something that they haven't done yet, which is go on a huge run and get maybe 8-10 points in a big swing. And we'll have to wait and see if they're able to do that, because the Falcons will be starting on serve.
And it is Curtis there, the setter who's been huge tonight facilitating the ball. Puskis. Oh, kept alive. I think that belted Goldsmith in the face. And they're checking in with Goldsmith right now, as Harrison will retrieve the ball as he's left his seat here at the commentators table. Hutchinson to Curtis, back to Hutchinson. That one from Hutchinson, not in the zone, not into the court of play.
Mountaineers, sorry Matt, I had to do some business as the ball came to our direction.
Well, I commentated it while you were gone, Harrison. Don't you worry, the people know. Now, Jurak gonna get it off of somebody's noggin and out of bounds. So now Mohawk headhunting out there. Obviously not really, but have had some incidental contact. First to the face of Goldsmith, and then to, I believe, the noggin of Crowther.
Everybody getting hit in the noggin.
Everyone getting hit in the noggin. And that one not inbounds. Not really at the kind of point you can afford to give up in your current position, although they have shrunk the lead down to 5 points. Missed serves like that are going to bite you when you are trying to stay alive in a game.
Miracle. That is a miracle that Patterson misses that, and the Mountaineers will be thanking whatever God they were praying to right there.
It's almost like I gave him a compliment, except I didn't that time, so I've learned my lesson. But Patterson, yeah, with a rare miss. Now Jurak. Curtis over to Hutchinson. That one trying to be kept alive by Puskas. Good job following up on that. It'll just be sent over there. Now, Pit Tuck. Hutchinson, that time does it. Takes care of business there to extend this back up to a 5-point lead. And it is feeling like Mohawk needs to do something right now to put an end to this Fanshawe run before they get into the, within spitting distance of a win. Majuris will start that off, though, after the setup came from Kuzma. Different faces checking in here. Delos Reyes coming in for his first bit of action in the game. Hutchinson calling for a towel.
We'll have to wait and see if the Mountaineers are able to go on that run, because trading points is not going to cut it. It's not going to be enough to win this game, especially when you're down by 4.
Adrian Delos Reyes with his first serve, first action of the game. There's Curtis. Tried to spring Crowther early with a quick turnaround set with the one hand, and Crowther sends it right into the net as if he was catching a bass. Now Delos Reyes serving again. Pit Tuck. Goldsmith gets a friendly deflection off of Kuzma. And they're heading on the fast train to 25 points right now. Mohawk still down only 4, so by no stretch of the imagination is it a set conclusion, but like you said, Harrison, trading points like they have when you have a deficit that's not just 1 or 2 seems like a poor recipe for success, as this one's going to find its way over to Dean Zakari. Kept alive. Now Goldsmith. That one not inside the zone, though. The ref calls out. And Mohawk makes it a 3-point game, so doing what they need. Puskas back in. Kuzma's serve misses the zone. That's got to be troubling at this point. 17-13, back up to a 4-point lead for Fanshawe.
Yeah, that's probably the last thing you want to be doing if you're Thomas Kuzma. Obviously didn't mean to do that on purpose, just a mistake, and at this point in the series and in the set, a costly one at that.
Here's Goldsmith serve. Jurak's there, gives it over to Crowder. That one off of a Fanshawe player, well out of bounds. Dean Zakari now, one of the team leaders here at the service line. Pit Tuck's there to Curtis. Over to Hutchinson, trying to find a soft spot. Crowder keeps it alive. Jurak gets it over Hutchinson, keeps it alive for Fanshawe. Over to Curtis. Patterson. Boy, oh boy, Patterson is a troublemaker out there. He has been sort of the foil for this Mohawk team. And they're still searching for an answer to his game as Crowther sends a serve over to Jurak. almost kept alive by Ho, but can't quite get it done. As now Fanshawe extending their lead up to 5 points.
As they're now only 6 points away, Matt, from taking not only the set, but the series as a whole.
If you've just kind of joined us recently, Mohawk is down 2 sets to none, as you see on the scoreboard. So those 6 points Harrison mentioned are for the whole game, if they are to be relented. Riven Healy at the service line. Curtis gonna send it over himself. So Jacob Curtis, the setter, hasn't done a whole lot of attacking as the nature of his job would entail, but that time makes the smart decision, seeing a wide open hole in the middle of that Mohawk Mountaineers defense. And now he's serving. Curtis. That one well outside as Thomas Kuzma misses the zone.
Now only needing 4 more points are the Falcons, as Curtis will continue at the service line.
And Fanshawe looking to put the nail in the coffin here. Jurak's got something to say about that, though. With an emphatic one, and that's what I mean. He is Mr. Consistent no matter the score. He seems to always contribute. Big leader on this team. Cole Crowder at the service line now. Curtis over to Patterson. Oh, somehow gets that in. It looked like it was a mile out from this angle, but clearly we'll see right here. Yeah, he finds, just because it fell behind Majiras there. Wow, Patterson now at the service line looking to maybe round out this game. We'll see though. That's going to be returned there. Crowder to Majiras. Majiras having a good day in his own right, despite the outcome that has occurred so far. So Jurak will get to serve. Pit Tuck back in the game on the Fanshawe side. That one sent by Curtis a little bit too far. Double touch is the call. So Mohawk will get a point on a technicality to end a Fanshawe run, but they're still down by 4. In a dangerous position. Jurak's gonna have to essentially be perfect from here on out to get them the win in this set. Pit tuck to Curtis, to Hutchinson, kept alive by Kuzma. Now another double touch is called. So a 3-point deficit. Mohawk just won't go away. Timeout called by Fanshawe to talk this over.
Yeah, I mean, what a turnaround for the Mountaineers, and they have a chance to continue to push this game forward as we will go to a quick timeout break.
In crunch time now for the Mohawk Mountaineers. Down by just 3 points with Fanshawe knocking on the door of victory. Let's see if Captain Jurak here can stay perfect. That one dug there by Patterson. Hutchinson They're going to return that. Puskas is going to get it to Zakari in a tough spot. But he reached over, and that's a big point to drop. Now Jurek is going to come out.
Now, for the Falcons, they only need 2 more points to finish the sweep of the Mountaineers, who once again have made it close, but it just seems like from how this third set went, they just seem like they're running on fumes, and to their credit, have battled back after being down by a lot more.
Yeah, no set has been a very big differential in terms of the points. Dean Zakari with an emphatic, absolute missile of a kill. And they are not quite done yet, Harrison.
No, they are not. It will be Majiras at the line.
Andrew Money Majiras here, trying to keep things going.
Now it's just 1 point needed for the Falcons, or we will have overtime, Matt.
Well, let's see. They're going to have their captain. That's Colin Hutchinson at the service line. Zakari trying to keep things alive. Dug by Hutchinson. Little tip across from Curtis. Now going to be sent back at Zakari again. Goldsmith to Curtis. Back to Goldsmith. Rejected. Kept alive, though. Absolutely thrilling dig there. This one off of Hutchinson. Going to be Goldsmith probably to send it over again. Wow. Wow. And an infraction called against Fanshawe after they did. I don't know what else Fanshawe could have done there, to be honest with you. They were just, you could tell that this was match point for them, but also match point for Mohawk, who is battling and not giving up no matter what. As Kuzma serves it, there's Pittuck, there's Goldsmith. Puskas over to Crowder. And that is going to wrap it up as we get the call confirmed that that one was out from Kuzma. So a disappointing sweep as Fanshawe sweeps both, not only this game, but the men's game and the women's game. Obviously didn't sweep, the women did pick up a single set, but in terms of the 2 contests it swept. We've got a quick look at some of the highlights from the third game before we wrap up. Harrison, this has been a full day, to say the least, of sports. I am glad that if you watched any of it, I appreciate it as always. I am your host, Matt Jandrew, alongside Harrison Myers, and we are signing off for the final time this day. We'll be back next weekend with some more volleyball. Over and out.